You wanted to learn Docker, not really too sure where to get started. Well, you are at the right place. Hi, I'm Chanchal Bose. I'm from ProDevons, a company that has given you PD Cloud EX, cloud and automation in a box. More about that at pdcloudex.com. I deliver Docker training. We have a complete training agenda for Docker. Docker Fundamentals DO555 and Docker Advanced DO777. I'll provide the course content of DO555 and DO777 at the end of this delivery. Today our agenda is install Docker on Linux, install Docker in Windows, configure a web service using Docker. So here I am. I'm using Oracle VirtualBox. It's already pre-installed, onto which I have already configured a CentOS virtual machine. If you want to know where from you can download Oracle VirtualBox, go to virtualbox.org. By default, VirtualBox allows download of VirtualBox version 6.0. Please don't download this version because it has a bug. Rather use an older version which is 5.2. I am already using that version. So download it from here, and once downloaded, install in your Windows machine or Linux machine, whichever machine you use, and after doing that, configure a CentOS virtual machine. This CentOS virtual machine's network setting is network is configured as bridge network. This allows the system to connect to internet using your host network interface. Next, what I'll do, I'll connect to this machine using MobaXterm. MobaXterm has a great advantage that I'll talk later on. Now, if you want to know where from you can get MobaXterm, just type MobaXterm on your Google search window. You'll find here is MobaXterm URL. From here, download a free version of MobaXterm. Once installed, once downloaded, install it. Now start using MobaXterm. Now on my remote system, I'll log in as an user Chanchal and right click on the desktop, open a terminal, and in that terminal, I'll press Ctrl plus, that will increase the size of the window, and now I'll type IP-A to ascertain the IP address of the system. I can see the IP address of the system is 192.168.31.157. So on my MobaXterm system, I'll be doing SSH root at the rate the IP address of the remote system. Once logged in, from now on I'll be executing all my commands from MobaXterm window itself. Now, why not working on the virtual machine itself? The advantage is MobaXterm brings to the table lot many additional things, that is like copy paste, etc., which you are going to use, and very shortly you'll see. Next, we are going to install Docker on CentOS. The commands that I am going to execute is already there on your screen. Now we'll configure or install Docker onto the virtual machine. To do that, we'll open up a Chrome browser window and search in Google Docker install CentOS. That will lead us to the page Get Docker CE for CentOS. This is the docsdocker.com documentation page. This will guide us for our next set of steps. First of all, you must make sure none of the Docker packages from CentOS itself should be installed. Even if they are installed, they should first be uninstalled using this yum remove docker client, this command. This will make sure none of the commands from CentOS is installed on this system. Next, we are going to install few commands like yum utils, device mapper, persistent storage, and LVM2. These are the packages required by Docker. Yum utils itself configures a command, yum config manager. Yum config manager command will be used in our next command to configure Docker repository. So yum config manager --add repo, then HTTP URL. This will make sure docker ce.repo file is created. Okay. So everything I'm just copying it from the web page itself and pasting. So it's pretty much straightforward. Once you have done that, this has configured Docker repository for us. Now we are going to install the Docker package. Yum install Docker CE. CE stands for Community Edition. We are going to use Docker Community Edition. Once the Docker Community Edition is installed, we'll make sure it is started using the command systemctl start docker, and then we'll also make sure it started even after a reboot, that is systemctl enable docker. Once we have done that, we will make sure ordinary users can also run docker command. For that, we are going to use a command usermod -ag docker chanchal. This will add the ordinary user to the Docker group. Now I'm going to log in as user chanchal and test whether chanchal can run a docker command or not. So here I have logged in. Chanchal is running the first docker command, docker run hello world. You can see it has successfully run, and the output itself is a verification that Docker is properly configured and running on this system. And the output itself gives you a precise information as to what all that has gone on behind the scene for running this output or creating this output. I delivered Docker training both on premises as well as on web-based virtual training. Brief outline of Docker fundamentals DO 555 is provided here. Also, advanced training content of DO 777 is here. In the event, if you feel like getting in touch, I have provided my email address. Next, we are going to create an HTTP server service using Docker container. We'll use the command docker run -d httpd. What this command will do, it will download a container image from Docker Hub and create a container-based instance of an HTTP server. And will be accessing this container page using curl command very shortly. But before doing that, we need to ascertain what is the IP address. So here is our container image ready, and we can see Docker PS tells you what are the container services right now running on your system. Now I'll run a command docker inspect onto the container image or container instance, but this throws out a lot of output. So I'll do a grep IP address that will give me the IP address of the container. And if I do a curl of this IP address, that will give me the output of the container service that is running. So I can see that a container service is running and we are getting the output. But this way, we won't be able to access this service from outside world. So what I'm going to do, we'll create some sort of provisions that will allow us to access it from outside world. So first of all, I'm going to stop this container service. Thereafter, using docker rm command, I'm going to remove the container instance. Next, we are going to create a new container instance using with -- name, and I'm also forwarding the port container port 80 to the host port 8080. -p stands for port forwarding. Left part stands for the host part, right part for the guest host part. Now if I do a curl localhost port 8000, I can see that on my local host itself I am getting the output of the container image. You can run or we can use Firefox in the virtual machine and try to access localhost :8000. We should be getting the same output. So let's see whether it happens or not. Yes, it works. Means we are also getting on the host an output on the browser, that is a service provided by the container, which basically means a container service can be accessed from the outside world too, as it is accessible from Firefox. Next, we are going to change dynamically the content of this HTTP page. If we do a cat, it shows it works. We want to change it to something different, that is our own web page or something like that, our own content. Okay, so using echo command, we are going to do it, as within a container you are not going to find Vim, etc. So as we have changed that page, now if we refresh our Firefox, we see that our output page has also changed, that our content has now come. Now I'll demonstrate how to install Docker for Windows. Docker for Windows is a Docker Community Edition application. The Docker for Windows install package includes everything you need to run Docker on Windows systems. I have already given you the URL where from you can download this package. It's a hefty download of 545 MB. I have already downloaded it. It's available on my hard disk. Just by double clicking the package itself, installation will start. The installation is over. You'll be forced to restart your system, and once you have restarted your system, you'll find Docker is up and running, and you can access your Docker application using PowerShell window. And the PowerShell window, on your PowerShell window, you just run your usual Docker commands. Everything that we have tried earlier will be running properly. If you ask my opinion what to use, Docker for Windows on Docker or using Docker on Linux system using Mobile XTerm, etc. Because in the world of cloud computing, I will always suggest learn Docker on Linux platform. Docker runs on Linux only. If you like this video, please subscribe. If you have any comments regarding any additional topics that you like to see, please keep us posted. Thank you from ProDevons team.